Good evening, class. My name is Bruce Scruggs, and this is my presentation on the World Wide Web. In 1990, other than my birth, what major event in history played a huge impact on the modern world of computing today? That answer is the creation of the World Wide Web. The World Wide Web, also known as WWW, is a global information medium in which users can read and write via computers connected to the internet. In this presentation, I will guide you through the history of the World Wide Web, how we use it in our everyday lives, and how it works. Firstly, who created the World Wide Web, and why was it created? Well, the World Wide Web was first a proposal wrote up by the British engineer and computer scientist Sir Tim Berners-Lee. In August of 1998, Berners-Lee wrote this famous proposal to the SW Group leader for the establishment of a pilot project to install TCP/IP protocols on some key non-Unix machines at CERN. But years before this proposal even came into thought, he built a database called Inquire. It was mostly used as a personal database for people and software models, but it was also a way to play with hypertext, simply because each new page of information in the database had to be linked with an existing page. Unknowingly to him, Inquire would become the predecessor and would shape the way that the World Wide Web that we know today works. Years later, Berners-Lee found someone with the same ideas and passion as he. Robert Callihoo was his name. And in 1990, Robert Callihoo rewrote the famous proposal. In September of that year, they pitched their ideas to the European Conference of Hypertext Technology, but found no one who was interested. Despite this disappointment, they kept at their work. And by Christmas, they had finally built all the tools necessary for the working World Wide Web. Out of all these tools, they created the HTTP, the HTML, the first HTTP server software, and the first web browser, which is known as, simply put, the World Wide Web. Now at this point, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, what does this have to do with me? Do I use any of these tools? Or are you just talking about some useless things that only people who are really interested in computers talk about? Well, no. One of the important things you have to realize about the World Wide Web is that we use it a lot every day, whether we do it or not. But one of the very first things you have to remember about the World Wide Web is that it and the internet are two completely different things. For example, think of the internet as your cable, and think of the World Wide Web as your remote. Your cable is then plugged into your TV, and we should think of the TV as a computer. So the internet is plugged into your computer. Okay, but how do you access the internet? How do you get to choose what websites you want to go to, and how do you view those websites with ease? That's where the World Wide Web comes into play, and the tools that Sir Tim Berners-Lee created. Well, first off, we open up the web browser. From there, we type in which web page we want to go to. For instance, Google. At Google, we can type in any search term, and we can find anything related to that search term. Basically, this is a very good example about how every web page is connected, like a web. So you start from Google, then you branch out to say from space. Okay, there's a space page here, a space page here, a space page here. From then on, you could find endless and endless information about the things you want to learn about. Now, in conclusion, whether we realize it or not, the World Wide Web has made a huge impact on the way we use the internet. And as we have seen, the creation of the World Wide Web was sort of an underdog story, but it was a good underdog story, and it taught us that no matter how small or how pointless an idea may seem, that it could always be very useful in the future. We've also learned that using the internet and the tools that the World Wide Web provides for us is as easy as watching TV and flipping through channels. So, whenever you're surfing the web or using your computer, just think about it. We could just as easily not have this technology if it weren't for two great minds that kept at their dream. My name is Bruce Scruggs, and I thank you for your time.